Now, if y'all got questions, put your hands up. We'll come to you and go around, so that way you can just talk to the mic. And you got questions for any of these great people?
That's right.
You know, just let them know.
Yeah.
He's picture time. We gonna need more lighting on this side. It's dark on this side. I can't show up. I gotta make my eyes big. I look like an owl.
Hold your goldfish shoes up.
Yeah, put the shoes up.
Question is for anyone who had the pleasure of working with Vincent on the show. If you could talk about what it was like to work with an animal co-star, but also Vincent said he wanted to go back to his original owner, so if I could give him back.
Right here. No, it was wonderful working with the dog on set. You know, she had her trainer there with her the whole time, just helping make sure everything went smoothly. She listened very well.
Vincent was a girl.
Vincent was a girl.
Yeah, Vincent was a girl.
Yeah, she was a girl. She was a girl. Yeah, Heather was the trainer.
What do you think?
Yeah, Vincent. Right. But it was great though. It was just so much fun. I was a kid having a dog on set, somebody I can really bond with, and have a good time with. So it was wonderful. I miss Vincent to this day.
I got one over here.
What was the hardest scene to film for each of you?
Wow, that's good.
I'd have to go with that scene.
Did you that scene?
It was, because I was pretty sad to leave.
Yeah.
So I was very OCD about medical details, especially back then. And so I just wanted to make sure that the bullet hit in the sternum so that I'd have at least 2 minutes of oxygen to be able to get. Originally there was a speech. I consulted with ER docs to make sure where would I have to be hit that it would be A, definitely lethal, but B, give me enough oxygen and time to get this much X out legally. And then I think they ended up cutting most of the speech, so I didn't really worry that much. But I was really concerned about placement. I was like, okay, 2 fingers, sternum, I have this much hair, and these are the obstacles I'm overcoming to talk to Saeed.
Right. Very thorough, very thorough.
Overthinking it 20.
I think my hardest scene was my first one when I came in on the boat because I was suffering from major motion sickness. And so they gave me this pill that was for motion sickness, but then what happened was for some reason, we all had a different chemical makeup in our brain. I couldn't remember any of my lines. I felt like I didn't even know who the hell I was anymore. And I kept thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna get fired on my first day. I'm lost. And Jeff Fahey kind of pulled me aside and he was like, you okay? And I was like, I don't know what's going on. I'm sucking at this. And he just looked at me and he goes, kid, how did he say this? There's more than 1,000 ways to skin a cat. And I went, that's not helpful. And then I didn't get fired, and then they kept bringing me back to torture everyone on the island. It turned out okay.
So you're saying Jeff is not your constant?
I love Jeff with all my heart, but skinning a dead cat, like that quote, it was kind of like, I don't know what you mean by that.
All right here.
Hello. So my biggest question has always been, and I never thought I would get to ask this, but what did you think of the end of the show? The ending.
Were you guys there at the end? Were you guys Yeah, okay, sorry, Vincent, go.
So you're asking about.
Vincent's going to explain the answer, right?
I would just say I have the utmost respect for our creators, and it is extremely difficult to build an airplane in the air while you are flying it, which is essentially what they have to do. And so I think the fact that they could even land the tone, the emotional tone that they were looking for, I think that was the priority.
Yeah. Yeah, some of us weren't around for the ending, but at the end of the day, what I always feel like is, and I heard Damon say it once, it was never about the ending. It was only ever about the journey. And so for the 6 years that everybody hung out, that's what the whole thing was about. It was never going to be about that one last show. So the ending, other than it being sad, was, the ending. But the 6-year journey, that was amazing. Yeah.
That was well said.
Got a question.
Because there are 25 ways to skin a cat.
Apparently, there's 1,000. I didn't know there was one.
I know who thinks about skinny cats.
I was like, Jeff, why are you skinny cat?
Got a question over here, stage left.
Walt wasn't in the ending. Where was the ending when everybody was?
Said you weren't in, where were you?
I don't know where the writers had me. On the island back home somewhere. I mean, I'm in the ocean,
Is your grandma?
my grandma. I was making a couple stops, I was just doing
You're definitely like super tall and an adult at that point.
right, braces, the whole thing.
Oh, let's make our way over here to this young man in the center.
Thank you. First of all, there is a extra scene after the end with Walt in it that might answer some questions for you.
Yeah.
Second, Andy, you got to film a scene underwater where you exploded a grenade. Can you tell us a little bit about filming that?
I was fine after that. Apparently, I guess I survived.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Appreciate that. That was kind of fun, so instead of having to come up for air all the time, we had a guy under camera, underwater, and we shot in the pool with the walls painted dark to sort of imitate being in deep water. And I remember not so, as opposed to coming up and taking air and going back down, there would be a guy come up with the snorkel with the scuba gear. And I was in seventh heaven. I'm thinking, here I am. I'm getting to play. I'm a certified scuba diver, so that was kind of cool. But one time I wasn't paying attention, and I took the respirator. I took it upside down, and here I breathed in a whole bunch of water. And I wish I could have seen that on film. I was like one goofy mofo trying to swallow the whole damn pool, and so I had to come up. I'm kind of huffing and puffing, but that was a fun scene, other than being hated by everybody in this room. A great guy, Dominic and Charlie. It was a beautiful, fun day. Thanks for asking.
Got a question here.
Not really. I've always been really passionate. I was telling Malcolm yesterday about the ending with Hurley and Ben and Jack and him. And I'm just going to say that I feel like at the end, he wasn't there because they were all at the island making everything continue. That's just, I feel passionate about that.
Right. Any other questions?
Are you ready for your spin-off?
Yeah.
Keep going.
We're ready.
I guess I have two questions, technically, if that's allowed. One is for all of you. I just wanted to know about some of your favorite memories of like your downtime living while you're working there, sort of at the end of the day, or just when you had downtime on the set. And then the second one is for Harold specifically. Can you give us anything for the new season of From? Any teasers, any little snippets?
Right. So this, I'll do the From one first, but that's easy. There will be death. That's kind of all I got. That's what I got.
And we learned yesterday there will be an ending.
And there will be an ending, yes. Yes. There will be an ending, not this season, but there will be an ending. Yeah, there will be. There was no death in the second season. There will be. It's gonna be interesting. But fun time. That first season, the first year, is actually maybe one of the most fun times I've ever had in my life because we were all there. Malcom was at my house every day. You were boxing with the parents. It was maybe the most fun, and none of us knew. We had heard that the show was really good. We had heard that it was a big success, but we were all just in the trenches, like there working, and so we were like, sure, sure, a success. But like we would go to each other's homes and we'd watch it when it came on TV, and then we'd go back to work. And it wasn't until we got to LA when, you know, like you get off the plane and somebody screams, "That's Walt's dead!" It is a big show. Okay, got it, no. But we had a great time that first year. We just kind of all hung out, and then we got to meet like new people as it went on. So for me, that was the best time I've ever had doing television, except for working with Cortion back there. Who replaced my other stuff.
I agree. Like that is really special because it was before social media. I think I remember standing with like Josh Holloway and Emily Durand, and we were like, Twitter, what? Flash in the pan. How can you express a full nuanced opinion about anything in 140 characters? This won't last. So yeah, that first season, I think it almost felt like a COVID era like pod. Like, have you ever shot anything in a bubble?
Yes.
Because we were this tiny town.
Yes.
And like, you know, people on Oahu did not care.
Right.
They were like, you're doing it great, good for you. Yeah, it was just so special. Like all those kind of evenings around the fire with the guitars and playing, especially like, you know, we have kind of big block shot group stuff where like, okay, this group can chill for a couple hours and stay here.
Right.
Like stay at Police Beach.
Right.
And we were like, well, what do we do? And we were just so close at Divoff, and we called him JV or Jukebox. Yeah,
exactly right.
You could play anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just remember like tears coming to my eyes, like some of those sunsets with you guys around that fire. Like, it was really special.
Yeah, no, those are all great moments. That first season, you know, I was a kid, so I had to like do school. I had to like, they were trying not to cuss around me and stuff like that. You know, the being was playing the guitar and everything. So it's just a lot of great moments. Being on set, being on the beach, you know, going back to the houses and watching the episodes with the big family. It was really cool. As the seasons, you know, kept going, just, you know, meeting a lot of great people, and it was good. It was good. Jay?
Let's see. Thank y'all for coming. Do you mind if I misbehave and kind of circle back to this thing before I get to that? Magnificent question, by the way. No shade. I was thinking to go kind of on what Maggie was saying. The ending to me, in my humble misfit opinion, for what it's worth, to me, it was priceless and invaluable in a lot of different philosophies because of the way I viewed the whole entire tapestry of the storytelling. And what I mean by that is, there's this great book called The Language Instinct by Steven Pinker. Anybody read it? The basic thesis is that language is a societal agreement to avoid chaos. And when we speak, we're throwing away like 10, 15 other choices for every word, and no matter how eloquently you kind of get it out, it's reductive, right? For me, Lost, my experience on Lost was the writing, beginning to end, was so vividly idiosyncratic and smart as hell. And it's sort of impossible, particularly I think, Faraday, because of the science and the physics on top of it. It was all about the spaces, to me, it was all about the spaces in between the words, right? And I love that they left, all the writers, and of course Damon and Carlton, but they allowed every character to kind of express with those spaces, and they allowed us to perform with those spaces, to show that you're thinking, and that you don't have an answer, and you are landing on the wrong word some of the time, or most of the time, like Faraday. So to me, the point I'm struggling to get to, and thank you for your patience, is the ending. I love that they kind of more than ever left. They involved us. They involved all of us in the storytelling. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They allowed you to kind of fill in the space. They didn't end with, okay, let's get down to black and white now. Here's exactly what's going on. And that, to me, that's the universe. That's the multiverse. That's God-sized things. That's Pachamama. That's all of that, right? All the things. There was so much about the story, particularly the ending, where language is so reductive, you have to start resorting to words that, particularly if you're talking about science, like Faraday, you have to start resorting to words that sound more like spirit and God and those kinds of words that still fall short. It's like if you give God a name, it's no longer God, that territory. I hope you guys are following. I do warn you. But, anyway, to me, the ending was, like Maggie was saying, it was particularly magnificent. I think it left those spaces and allowed you to tell the story as well.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah.
And then I should let my friends speak, right?
No, brother. You gotta say like your favorite moments, like when we cut, in between scenes and stuff.
Yeah, I was going to pass the mic to you.
Well, I was going to say exactly what you said.
Where we do a duet. I was saying I was going to pass it on to you because I took too much time to explain.
No, not at all.
But it's up to you guys.
You do it.
Go.
We're here all day.
Careful what you wish for. So what was the best moment in between shooting or the best scene?
Some of the good times in between.
Good time?
Yeah.
Assuming I had good time.
Assuming you did.
Aside from being terrified. I had a... Oh, man. I used too many words. I'm trying to edit this down in my head. A little perspective. Gosh, yeah, just throw something at me if this gets too long, especially you guys. It was, every moment was kind of special in that, and this is the part I really got to make a bridge. So before I knew anything about, I was ever involved in Lost, like quite a bit before, I was having the most surreal experience of my life working with Werner Herzog. And if you guys know Werner Herzog, his reputation, he's one of the most controversial and surrealistic filmmakers ever. Fitzcarraldo, where the captain pulls the boat over the mountain, and it's hard to explain. See, I should have passed this. I had a very Fitzcarraldo-esque experience with him making a movie in Thailand a number of months before I knew anything about Lost or anybody connecting me with Lost or making an offer. For that film, I lost 40 pounds, went to Thailand, half the crew quit because Herzog, you can Google him, he's a master, but he's also just famously surreal and very lateral thinker. So anyway, half the crew quit. I had lost 40 pounds because I was playing prisoner of war. And then I got really sick in Bangkok afterwards. And when I got done back from Bangkok, I was reading this book called The Field, by Lynn McTaggart, who's a scientist every bit as accomplished as Faraday. And all she was talking about was exactly what we're talking about here. Only I'm doing most of the talking here. It is about, you know, the 0 point field, the interconnectedness of all things, all there is, and that's what she was doing very well. It was like using words to kind of get close to it, to give you, the reader, enough of a sense. So I was doing that, and that's when Lost came out of nowhere. And I ended up on Lost, still 20 pounds underweight, having just been studying all that stuff, and I was still sick. And that was my first day, and it was still an incredibly special moment. But I've said too many words by now, so I got to go to territory.
There's a view.
Pass the lines.
May I borrow it? This is.
Oh, you got the light on. I think you're on.
Oh, you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So what if it doesn't?
You hear me now? Yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah, you know, to follow up, so I came in the third season, and speaking of words, there was one word I think I heard, terrified. I was terrified. I came in because I knew, I did know the theme of the show, and I did know how it ended. And so me coming in, I honest to God, 7 days. So the first thing I ever filmed was stepping up, looking into the lens, and then I was told, oh, you're going to be back, and I said, yeah, right, yeah, I heard that before. That never sort of panned out. But when I did get back, I had this copious amount of words, and I didn't sleep for 7 days. I kid you not. I did not sleep, and so I would kind of nod off while I was on set between takes. And I just remember stopping to smell the island, as it were. I just realized where I was and how amazing, how fantastic it was. But literally, it got to the point where Evangeline, I'd show up on set and she'd ask me, did you sleep last night? I said, no, man. But you know what? I was lying flat, so that's something, right? I was looking at the ceiling all night. And then I would, my preparation for all those copious words was to basically play the scene, play all the characters, and then have it on a recorder, and then omit the characters, omit my character with space to say my lines. And I would go over it and over it and over it. I'm a slow learner. I'm plotting, but once I get it, I get it, you know. But so for 7 days, I literally didn't sleep. I was so excited. Going to between scenes now. It was so wonderful. We mentioned Naveen and his guitar, and it was absolutely wonderful. You know, I love Jimi Hendrix, so you know I'd ask him to pick a song and play, and never missed a note. So amazing. And then I must say, another real character that I think came through in the series was the crew. I tend to be a pretty frisky guy. I tend to kind of, I get wound up easily, let's put it that way. And so, but I noticed that was happening less and less, especially, you know, I want to make sure that I show up and I give that 110, as everybody does and has. But I just remember one day, 18 hours in the jungle, and it, you know, every now and then it would rain, it would break it up because you got electrical stuff out there. So everybody would, you know, you're in the heat of battle, as it were, and then you're told, okay, it's raining, calm down, sit down, okay, sit down. And then the crew, they pull out guitars and 5-gallon drums, and then pretty soon it'd be kind of like a concert in the jungle. It was kind of cool, it was really mellow. And I'll never forget that. And I believe that spirit, that Ohana spirit, was part of what it sort of imbued the philosophy of being over there. You know, it was just amazing. It changed my life. You know, it really did. It's beautiful, beautiful moment. Thanks.
Yeah, for me, it was an interesting thing coming in to play with Martin Keamy because I kind of built in my head that I didn't want to know any of these people because of what I had to do. And it was very hard not to get to know them because they're all so lovely and beautiful. But I still tried to kill all of them. I had a lot of anxiety, I remember, because I had never played scenes where I was driving the action before. I'd never done that. I'd always been kind of more of a reactionary actor. And I feel like Lost was like this major transition for me. And when I found it, once again, Jeff Figgy, he said to me at the end of the day, he's like, I love what you're doing. And I was like, I'm getting fired. And he was like, no. And this is after the cat stuff. He said, go back to your hotel tonight. And he said, watch Christopher Walken in Dogs of War and Marlon Brando in On the Waterfront. And he said, I mean, it was the greatest compliment ever. He was like, watch that because that's what I'm seeing. And I was like, get out of here. And I watched it and then I was like, for some reason, him telling me that as opposed to the cat thing, it really helped. And, which is why I say how much I love Jeff. But yeah, and then after that, it seems like I had found a new channel. And then I would get these auditions after Lost because everybody in the world was watching Lost. It was amazing. It was the best boost I've ever had. Well, then I'm going into rooms and I'm playing these characters who are, you know, like kind of pushing the envelope all the time. And I've been doing that ever since Lost. So thankfully for Martin Keating. Yeah. But one of my favorite parts was David Lindelof. He's sitting there with me one day, we're having this talk, and he just stops and he looks at me and he's like, man, when I'm talking to you, I just feel like you're the nicest guy, you're telling jokes, like you're just the nicest dude. And I go, oh, thank you. He's like, but I feel like at any second, you could just reach over and rip my head off. I don't really know how to take that. But it's a good thing.
Got a question over here for you all right here, Mr. Senator.
Hi, my question, so I realized that the kind of one commonality that I think that you all have is that after your original stint on the show, you all came back kind of as a guest star at some point. So what was the experience like coming back as a guest star versus, you know, being on the show in a regular capacity?
That's for me?
It's for everyone.
Oh, for everyone.
I guess I'll start. I guess it might be, I don't know how everybody else is, but, you know, because we all started it together, going away and coming back, you just feel like you go back home. Do you know what I mean? It just feels like you go back home. Like it doesn't feel anything else. You just go back home. There's so many great connections, so many people you love, so many people in the crew, so many people on the island. Like it really becomes your home. So coming back as a guest star, you're just like, it's like going back when I would go home from college. That's exactly what it felt like. Oh, hey, Mom, what's happening? Like that's exactly what it felt like going back on Lost. Like you don't miss a beat. I didn't feel like I missed it. Did you go back?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say yeah.
A couple times?
Yeah, I must have.
And? You're not sure?
Yeah.
You must have.
Similarly, I think it was more about the emotional through line I've seen with the members and it was special. I was glad to do it.
Yeah. It was a special show. Yeah. It was an experience at the end of the day, right? I don't know everybody else. It wasn't just, I would love to say that it was just a job. It was another job. I would love to say that. But I think, and we were talking about this recently, the impact that the job had on my life was much more profound than I had expected it to be. And so those things, my middle daughter was born, and Malcolm's girl, like just the effects that it had on my life was bigger than just being a job.
We feel the same in our lives.
Yeah.
Some of the McDonald's who have been
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Made friendships, best friends we lost online. And
You guys are like inventing inventing the wheel there with fandom. I mean, there are other fandoms that came after.
Feel like family. I mean,
Yeah.
we just always will. All of you from the show. Austin, it was. We have lost parties. We have lost parties. We have parties. You'll be a part of
We're gonna have one tonight.
There you go. Back alive.
The way the fans handled the show, the way they interacted with it, the way they felt like they had a voice and a relationship with each other, it was one of the first kind of online cohesive communities. Like I think they maybe sparked it with the Fuselage site.
Yeah, but yes.
I mean, the sort of way they'd have to explain, like looking back now, and they're like, we're gonna do this crazy thing where we like set up this website online where fans can go and talk and post things that other fans can read. It's very dangerous. We're not sure how they're gonna handle it. And then I remember when they were pitching this Mobisode.
Remember the Mobisode? Did you guys get any Mobisode? I don't know if you were around, but did you sure did the Mobisode?
But it was like a crazy concept, guys. We're gonna do these short videos that people can watch on the internet. Timing.
And then whenever they want.
The cast would come in and shoot these Mobisodes.
Or Locks University.
Wow. Anybody else?
But yeah, back to the question. I think you said it perfect. It was kind of like going back home, just seeing everybody you got to work with, and everybody was really cool. I was being drenched in the water at one point, that whole nine. But it was fun though. Just going back to the island, going back to Hawaii, it was a beautiful time.
It was about a guest to come back.
Yeah, because some of
It's like
us
coming back as a guest.
Some of us kind of left and came back.
Leave the show and come back as a guest?
I didn't. I was pretty dead.
You're pretty good. You're pretty dead. Did you go with them? You can come back? Yes, right?
He came back for the concert.
You came back.
Yeah, and I had both eyes. Yeah, no, absolutely wonderful, and who knew? All of a sudden, I spoke Korean. That was cool. That was really, really cool. I remember meeting a gentleman who taught me, and he put it on the tape, and he was pretty assiduous about it. He let's meet for coffee and let me hear it. And by the end of the weekend, I had gotten the stuff down. So I was proud and happy about that. But mostly to be able to see it both eyes.
I thought that I was just doing one episode. That's all I knew. And then I remember I was shooting in Australia, and then they said they want you to come back and do another episode. And I was like, oh, that's so awesome. And I remember getting on the plane, and they wouldn't give you the scripts. Yeah. So I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be a great scene. And I'm like, oh, what are we doing? I remember reading the scene on the plane and having to shoot it tomorrow. And it was the scene where I took care of Ben's daughter. And I remember reading it going, oh my, shit is gonna change. I was like, damn. I was like, this is gonna oh my God. And what was it like? It was exciting. It was kind of scary because you get the words very last minute. You wouldn't get the script, so which was kind of added to it, so both wonderful and terrifying.
Can I answer that a different way?
Yeah.
Do you guys mind if I answer that? Did I cut you off?
No.
Tess, right?
Yes,
It's just Tess.
Sorry.
That's better.
Yeah.
I'll try to answer it a different way, if you don't mind, just because I didn't come back as a guest star, but I certainly came back and forth. So to that question, first of all, to speak to the internet of it all, as Maggie was also saying eloquently, I I ended up worshiping Carlton, Damon Carlton so much that I was halfway convinced that they invented the internet. That's how I'm gifted I think they are. But I want to make a point that when I came back, every time I went back and forth from the mainland, for example, what was so terrifying, wonderfully terrifying, was coming back and really realizing that it's not just Damon and Carlton kind of leading, it's this criminally gifted group of writers and rock star, brilliant actors that I found myself thrown back in the deep end every time in the best way. And also with that writing, the idiosyncrasies of the writing, where you do need a lot of time to prep. That was the hardest thing for me, is trying to prep in the way that I was describing, and to not be a Xerox machine, not have Xerox machine kind of acting, where you only learn one way to do it, and that's in one note, and you don't deviate from that. To try to be the actor that tries to honor this incredible writing, but not do it the same way every time, which is scary too. You do it more like jazz. Anyway, to be surrounded by just extraordinary artists on all levels. When you get in the middle of that and you realize, it's not just you got a couple of rock stars in charge here. It's like when you're thrown into this little collective, this family, so they're just performing at their top, and you wonder, how did I get here? And then, they're going to find me out in a minute, and why am I not fired? I'm still 20 pounds underweight from Herzog. Anyway, I hope that helps. That's part of it. Thank you for your question.
Got a question right over here on this side, stage right.
This one is a bit for Harold, and you can all speak on that. I was working on a show like Lost that has such a deep lore and mythology.
Could you talk a little closer?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
I was working on a show like Lost that has such a deep lore and mythology. Was that really helpful moving to something like From that has that same kind of vibe that you kind of feel familiar starting from?
Yeah, you know what the most helpful thing about it is because of the way that we work, in that way of not getting scripts or not, getting, and then when you do get them, you have to find a way in that's really alive and viable. It really does. It helped at the time that we first started shooting Lost. That felt like a really difficult way to work. It was I'd like to know what's going to happen so I can plan now. And then, but when you don't have that, you just have to really be in the moment. And it really does help. Lots of other things, like other things, and you guys can speak to it as well. It does help me as an artist be able to on my feet. You can, at this moment, you can give me anything, and then tomorrow change it, and I'll be right with you. And Lost was really helpful in that. You know what I mean? You could work and learn and pivot and learn how to fill in all these moments. And you get to work all those creative muscles. And so it was really helpful. Anybody else think?
I was going to say this.
You were going to say this? Good cook, that'd be good.
Okay, I have a question here with this young lady. Right, loud and clear. What was the funniest or weirdest scene you had to film?
Funniest or weirdest thing we had to film?
She said, yeah.
Maggie's got one, you can tell.
That's pretty to say. We liked our friends on that set.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about because times have changed, but we had a good time.
Got it. That's right. Got it.
Anytime there was a love scene, there was a couple.
Lots of
And then other times the rap stuff. A lot of love friends.
Yeah. Now I don't know if you know this, but you were really young. So this answers two questions. You're the most fun and also maybe the scariest. And you said this was really. At the end of the season, we wouldn't get the entire script. You get, I don't know if you've ever heard this before. You didn't get the entire script. You get a thing, you get get the script up to a page, and then you get the end. And so, do you remember this at all? The first season when the raft showed up, we get the thing, we're on a raft. In the script it says, we wave, and then the next thing it says is, I'm screaming Walt. I don't know what happens in the middle. I don't know anything that happens in the middle. And take us out really early in the morning. We go out to the marina. We're like, yeah, we're on a raft. Right, of course. They say, like, oh, right, so you're on a raft. You're waving because you see people. I'm like, oh, snap, there are other people. Yes, there are other people. You're like, you're waving. You're like, great. Like, those people, they come to the boat. They're like, great. Hey, we like you guys. We're taking your son. Oh, shit, they take my son? Yes, and then they take your son. He's gone, and then they throw you in the water. Wait, time out. What happens? So they throw you in the water. I was like, I don't know how to swim. And they asked again, what did you say? I don't know how to swim. And we were in the ocean. So, scary, funny, but yeah, they come, they get Malcolm, they beat me up, they throw me in the ocean. When I'm screaming, whoa, I think I'm gonna die. Because I don't know how to swim. Really funny, really great, really scary, but I had a good time. I survived. I didn't know if you know that. He probably didn't know that. I didn't know how to swim because he could swim. Yeah. That was fun, and then we did have lots of pranks. That wasn't a prank. That wasn't, yeah. Anybody else?
I love animals. I really do. All of them. And if there's one thing I wish I could do is be Dr. Doolittle, actually speak to him. But having said that first scene, I got to work with Curly the Bull, and they handed me a bucket full of basically like granola bars. And apparently I wasn't handing them out quick enough, and so Curly started to knock me into this. Thank goodness it was kind of one of those bike, where you park your bikes with a big old kind of ranch fence, and it had some give. And I guess I'm kind of proud that I didn't cut the scene, because I remember bouncing off the fence for about 7, 8, 9, 10 times, thinking, what in the hell are they going to call cover? But Curly and I ended up good friends. I'd scratch his head every morning when I saw him. So he's a good buddy. And he'd say, where the hell are the granola bars?
You guys, I'm so sorry, I'm a stream of consciousness. Were you guys? No. Do you mind if I just keep the stream of consciousness? Because I was thinking it's kind of weird. What?
We have another panel coming. Sorry. Yes, please.
Come and take it.
I was so sorry. Yes, stream of consciousness. Yeah, I just did it again. Very loud. I was thinking in terms of weird, it's a combo of like two questions that are going on here and bouncing around the room. What was weird was also the question about the security, like if the script's coming like in a Brinks truck, right? And it always felt like, did it feel like to you guys that like it was they always delivered it in the 11th hour intentionally, even if they had it earlier, right? Yeah. So what's terrifying for all of us, I don't know if I can speak for all of us, I think any actors, if you get it last second, it's like any audition. Auditions are just so brutal. I think everything about the way the old school auditioning is, they give you like a night to work on it. The thing is, especially with writing this magnificent, right? And this, just polymorphously brilliant, and throw all the science in, it's hard to get it DNA deep unless you have enough time. So much about getting it DNA deep, these lines, is being able to sleep on it, have your subconscious kick in and just kind of work through it. So for me, I always want at least a week to work on a scene, just to read it, just to like put the dictionary next to it and like, okay, that's what that means. So what was weird is that they would do that even though they could have got it to you a couple days later, and then you're terrified because you don't have the time. And the thing about acting, if I can say anything about it, in my misfit opinion, you want to, I mentioned jazz earlier, it's harder to be more jazz if it's delivered at the last minute and you haven't had time enough with it and you're not getting sleep because you're so terrified. Because what you want to do in every scene as an actor is just kind of, you get your point A to point B, you got what you want, you're going to get from, you need verbs to get to the beginning of the scene to the end of the scene, you got to hopefully get what you want, or maybe you don't get it, and you want to like get it so DNA deep that you can paraphrase the line, these magnificent lines, in a way so that it has the same meaning, but it feels like, again, the Xerox copy acting, you want to avoid that, and that was weird for me and terrifying. It's just trying to make it sound more like jazz, where, it's about, again, the spaces in between the words and not knowing, trusting that you're going to fall on your face. You have to make mistakes. You have to screw up, and it's hard, particularly when you're working with actors, as magnificent as these guys and everyone. It's hard to really, you got to be open to make mistakes, and, as soon as somebody sees a mistake, you can hear the wrong note, but, you got to honor Miles Davis and try to find a way that's unpredictable. It's got to be more about the space in between the notes, but I've said too much already. That's weird too. That kind of
We got another question real quick. This is the last question.
This question's for you, Mr. Andrew. Your character, Mikhail, was pretty much like the Terminator of Lost. How many times would you say you surprised people when you would come back and be like, I'm back?
First person that was surprised was me. I always thought that was it. I remember, I believe it was 4 times. I remember being tied to a tree, and Brother Carlton came over. I love him. He's been very supportive of me, and I appreciate that. He came over and he said, and he had his family, and he introduced me to the kids and family. And before he took off, he said, oh, by the way, you are dying. Oh, okay. Not much I could do. I was tied to a tree. But, listen, I'm ever thankful for that, and for being able to come back all those times, and as we've all said, we pushed the envelope, and that was just a little part of that that still is with me. And as I said, it changed my life. So you know what? Dying gets easier. Thanks for the question.
All right, everybody.
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Kevin Durand, Harold Perrineau, Maggie Grace,
That's what I'm